Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Michael Wilkes, Angel Ortiz, Dr. Chad, and Sam La Cavera. Go check out beardedbrowns.com and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Well, hello, everybody. Turn your mic on, dude. You missed a week, and now you missed how to control a friggin' board. What is up, everybody? Angel, Mike, and Chad. We are the Bearded Browns podcast every Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. We grace your presence on the internet, whether it's a TV, whether it's your phone, whether you're in the car on break. Thank you for tuning in. Real quick, please like, comment, share the feed. Let people know that we are live, that we're going to talk about some cool stuff. What everyone wants to talk about, quarterback stuff, right? And other topics like the Browns and what we should do. We got Chad talking about Sanders and the difference between Sanders and standards. It's gonna be a good show, and I want you guys to tune in and bring your friends along. Nonetheless, how are you guys doing?
I want to know who are we the first one to come up with Sanders and standards? Is that like a thing now? Is that
Sanders? Sanders.
They stand on Sanders. Is that what that means?
They're Sanders stands.
I like it.
Stands. I like it. It's kind of hard for someone who has a tongue like me.
It's actually hard to say for everybody, but it's easy to type. Sanders.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's going to be a good show. How was your guys' weekend, Mike? How was Father's Day for you?
Father's Day was great. I cleaned out my entire garage once again, mowed the grass, and my kids came over and ate hamburgers and the biggest hot dog I've ever had in my entire life from GFS. Not a sponsor, but check them out. They're long, all beef, huge hot dogs.
Nice.
It's a glizzy fantasy.
I did pair that up with a lot of Cleveland ketchup, though. Oh, Cleveland mustard, actually. But
yeah. What a great day to be a Cleveland Browns champion. Indeed. We are Browns champions. Shout out to Cleveland Scene, everybody that voted us best sports podcast for back-to-back years. Much appreciated. I don't know what I would do without you guys tuning in every week, listening to our horrible opinions, whether you agree with it or not. Even on Saturday show, you guys tune in weekly and you guys comment and thrive us in the algorithm. So much appreciated. My Father's Day was great. I got to experience, my wife made a Philly cheesesteak and I put some of that Cleveland jalapeno mustard on it. Pretty good. Pretty tasty. Tasty indeed. I just sat around all weekend, man. I didn't want to do much. Weather sucked. But, it was cloudy a little bit, a little colder than typical Ohio weather around this time. It's not like California. Right, Chad?
Yeah, Chad's a furry dad.
Pretty nice. Actually,
yeah, Chad's a furry dad. He's and you got anyone in your house that's currently adopted or you're taking care of?
No, we have 2 foster pups we're picking up tomorrow, actually, 2 little 1-year-old Pomeranian Terrier mixes. I was gonna say Father's Day for me is funny because we don't have kids right now, and my dad is 3,600 miles away. So I got to talk to him on the phone for like an hour, but yeah, it's a very weird thing where it's like it's Father's Day, and it's like, oh yeah, once you buy the gift, you're just like everybody else is getting together for dinner. Though I know I have stepbrothers because his wife has kids too, so they're getting together twice, Saturday and Sunday. So he had a pretty good Father's Day, but yeah, it was just a non-holiday over here. So
yeah, that was the vibe. I went to church and just came home and just slummed around. Oh, it was a pretty cool weekend though.
Quick question. How do you think Brendan Sorsby's dad feels?
Brendan Sorsby dad probably feels like
frustrated.
Yeah, frustrated at the poor kid for literally gambling every opportunity he had away. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Actually, we're gonna get into it right now. Why not? Snow
Yeah, I mentioned
supplement.
my dad and the pep talk you get from the pep talk in air quotes you'd get from him if I did something that like absolutely like tanked the direction of my future. And like I just cannot imagine like that reaction from somebody close enough to you to just tell it to you straight. Ugh.
James Frank said he's got a picture. He got a picture of Jim Brown's for Father's Day. That's nice. What's up, KP Young? What's up? Up. Man, my eyes are getting bad. What's up? Up. TSLIM. Is that what it says on YouTube? Man, I need my glasses. Thank you guys for tuning in, but we're gonna get into it. So news broke today. We had to switch up the beginning of everything up on our notes because once the news dropped about Brendan Sorsby not being able to make it into the supplemental draft, most of the cheers you heard from Shedeur fans, some of them from Browns fans who didn't want nothing to do with Sorsby. And for those that were just interested like me, it was like, I wonder what this kid's gonna do. You kind of was like, well, I mean, sucks to be him. But Sorsby cannot go back to college. He, as of right now, cannot play in the NFL until next year, until his
And
career challenges it.
for
Right.
those who don't know, because I did hear people ask this question, I did see this question pop up on Twitter a few times in the last couple hours. People thought, well, there is no supplemental draft, so does he become a free agent? Basically, the way that Isaiah Bond didn't go in the draft, so he just becomes an undrafted free agent. And they're like, so is he just available to anybody? And for clarity, no,
No.
he is not eligible at this moment to enter the NFL as a player. He would be re-eligible in 2027 for the standard draft. That's the
Yeah.
first time he could participate in the league.
That's a big gamble.
He did. He literally did gamble. He didn't. He said, "I'm out of here. NCAA football. I'm done." Tries to go into NFL, and Roger Goodell did what he does best. Was like, "Now we're gonna make it
Made
hard
up
for
a
you,
rule.
man.
Yeah.
You know what? We're just gonna cancel the whole supplemental draft now. We're gonna make it. We're just gonna change the rules real quick to make sure no team is interested that is interested will not draft you because I run this company and I'm gonna show you off." So
Some are
yes,
saying that Roger Goodell saved the Browns this year.
or the
There are a
Jets.
lot of people out there who said the idea too is they almost phrased. Did you guys get a look at the letter he sent out? He basically almost phrased it as like, I'm saving the teams from themselves because they don't have the proper time to evaluate this kid, including all the variables of this system. And it wasn't worded like that, but he was basically wording it as like NFL teams don't have the appropriate time to do all the research needed to make this decision before the draft would be um, set in 1 month. So now it's a non-issue, basically. And it's an interesting thought because I think a lot of fans are like worried their team was gonna take this
Yeah.
kid on. He was gonna end up with this giant suspension. It would be a waste of some chunk of the year anyway, and a draft pick. But
Yeah,
Wait,
some Browns fans were worried that Shedeur would be dealt in some way, thinking that the Browns would go after him. I mean, there was a lot of worry going around, and I mean, for me, it was interesting to watch everything unfold.
why are we not,
Um,
we're not live on Facebook?
we should be.
Let's see. I'm sorry. I just
No. I
oh
wonder if it didn't let it because sometimes it gives us connection issues. Nonetheless, Brendan Sorsby is not allowed in the NFL as of right now. I'm assuming he's going to challenge this. I think there's some reports coming out now recently, here a couple minutes ago, that he's going to go take these people to court and try to get in. But here's the thing, though: if he does win and he does get to play in the NFL, are you a team that's going to be like, yeah, come after all this drama? You know, Roger Goodell doesn't want him in. Are you going to want to take him? Not
you know
just
what
the
kind of
addiction,
team
but he seems to have a
what kind
black.
of team I see taking him? The kind of team that has already done that right in the face of the NFL when they're like, "Do not take this guy." I'm just kidding. I never thought the Browns were the top likelihood to take him anyway, which is why I think it's so funny. But I do think there will be teams that would take him. But you have to imagine now they're feeling the pressure and the draft capital. If he ends up getting back into this, which we can explain in a quick minute how he would do that. But the draft capital, I already said, I thought the highest a team could possibly part for him, given the gambling risk, suspension, vibes, would be a third. Now, I feel like a third would be generous if he gets his way back in the draft. I put out a poll. I should check the results. I put out a poll because people kept being like, I can't believe the Browns would give up a first rounder for this. And I'm like, you think Andrew Berry is giving up first for risk again? I don't believe it. But it turns out a lot more people than I thought that he was going to go for like a first round pick or maybe a second. I never thought it could go higher than a third. So I was pretty shocked that some other people were thinking it would be way higher.
Yeah.
You know what? We don't have to worry about it. So, yay.
Well, we might.
No, we might.
Explain why, Angel.
There's two scenarios here. If he wins, the Browns can still, say, hey, come over here. Or he can go, I'm joking here. He can go to the UFL, XFL, whatever FL that's out there and play and still show off his arm, show off his talent. And then he can enter the draft next year.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people are going to be like,
I
that's
think
crazy.
is his ideal, by the way.
This is
to say, like,
this is
that's a better scenario.
Exactly.
Go to Canada,
yep.
Play a season there. We'll see you next year. But that's not what they're going to try to do, according to his lawyer.
That's what they're not. But if he's smart, he'll do that because he will be, worst case, a risk second round because they're gonna be like, he had some issues, but he'll get in the second round and still make it in, and he'll be healthy. And guess what? He'll have a whole year where proof that he didn't relapse and he's fixed. Right. He doesn't have an addiction anymore. So I wouldn't rule it out because Brendan Sorsby is a talented quarterback. Despite his issues, he can run. He's got 9 touchdowns running, 500 yards rushing. He has almost 3,000 yards throwing the ball, 26 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. I remember that because I was impressed by those numbers. And I think to myself, that is a typical quarterback Monken likes.
37 total touchdowns with 5 interceptions.
On a team
were drooling.
With lack of talent in Cincinnati. Playing in the Big 12. Now, the Shedeur fans are going to come at me and say, well, Shedeur put up better numbers. That's not the argument. The argument is this guy is a dual threat quarterback, which you have a coach that likes dual threat quarterbacks. So the match is there. The only issue is the red blanket over him is the gambling, in my opinion. Obviously, it's a fact, but it's not an opinion.
Yeah, and I've been saying the whole time, we're not going to know the details on that, right? So, we're not going to know the details on that. So everything I've talked about with Sorsby was just basically like the scout's perspective. Because I'm like, this teams will have a better chance to find out what the gambling actually was, which by the way, I looked it up, except for a few outliers, almost every bet he made was between $1 and $10. So even though the numbers are huge and they're like, he bet all this stuff,
it's a lot.
He was making he would make a weekend where he was on FanDuel's and he would bet 20 different $2 bets. Right?
Why couldn't he just do like Shotani did and just blame it on his agent?
Why couldn't he just not do it?
Why can't he not do
it? Such a stupid thing to do. But just the idea, because I looked it up because I'm like, I want to know, is this guy they made it seem like he's he puts it integrity of the game problems. He's in the back of a dark alley, taking bets from a bookie for $10,000 on the spread. And it really was parlays where he was betting who will score the first touchdown in Texas versus Ohio State or Texas, $2 to Texas. It was just the type of gambling that my friends do on DraftKings. But it's not to excuse it because that's a stupid thrill that you put your entire life on the line for. So more to me now, the gambling looks less serious, and what looks more serious is his judgment, because for making all of these for betting $100 a week, but on 50 different bets.
That's a lot.
You really
You're gonna get caught
eventually.
Many
$2 bet. Yeah, you need to make that many $2 bets. What are you doing?
Here's my gamble. Let's go all in with Shedeur Sanders this year with an offensive line and wide receivers.
We'll get to that.
Let's see what happens rather than wasting another pick on this.
So the problem is, Mike, though, is you're so scared that Brandon Sorsby could come in and be better than Shedeur Sanders or even come to this team. But the
I'm
reality
not
is
afraid.
he might not have even come to this team.
Yeah.
And even if he did, he wasn't going to start over Shedeur Sanders this offseason. He hasn't been here. So, like, Sanders can't even beat out Watson right now. So, like,
Oh,
the idea of Sorsby
oh
walking in the
man.
door and
Yeah.
taking the number 1 spot
Fake
was never
news.
going to happen. So, if
news.
Sanders is good, he'll beat out Watson. Sorsby will never have a chance. He'll still get to start behind this offensive line with the new receivers. So I don't understand what everyone's so afraid of.
First and
If you think
foremost,
he has any
Watson's
chance
gonna
of
beat
being
himself
good,
out. Watson will beat himself out. He's a bum.
he might.
You
But, like,
might.
if you think
Yeah,
for everybody
you're
that
right.
thinks Sanders has any chance of being good, stop being afraid of competition. If you think he's
No,
any good, he'll beat these losers out. Sorsby
will.
would have just got here. Watson's a shell of himself. So, like, the amount of people that are like, we need Sanders to have nobody in the way to beat out is so odd to me, because what it tells me is you're not
Terrifying.
confident he can beat these guys out. And that makes me more worried. I'd feel better if people were like, bring in Sorsby, hell, bring in anybody and he's going to win. That's what I'm looking for the fans. But the fans keep saying, don't bring in anybody as competition. I just want him to be handed the job. And, like, I want him to win the job, and I want him to win against other legitimate quarterbacks.
We're
Like,
going to
he's
get into
clearly
Sanders a little bit more. You got one more thing to
Yeah.
say, Mike? I'm sorry.
No, well, I'll wait for the Sanders
Okay.
talk.
James Frank said everything. Gary, who does our Guards Mania show and is on the Browns Morning Brew Saturday at 10 a.m., did a live yesterday responding to giving his opinion
Yep.
on the situation. He said everything Gary said last night is exactly how I feel. This is from James Frank, by the way. Why can't we just let Sanders prove himself and stick by him? We were going to answer that question because I'm sure all three of us have a specific opinion on Shedeur Sanders as it stands right now. So stay tuned, guys. That's called a tease. And I just laid it there for you. We're going to change topics here. That's going to kind of lead us to it. So just
Wait,
just
before
be
we
patient.
change, I just wanted to go back. I did find the poll. 31% of the, and I hashtagged NFL, so just not Browns fans would be involved. 31% thought that Sorsby was bound to go for a first or a second round pick. 70% thought he would go for a fourth or a third, and 0% thought he would go for a fifth or later. And that shocks me because I honestly thought, like, a fourth would be the baseline. Teams weren't going to give more than that on a risky guy, or else it's not really a steal anymore. Like, you could just wait for next year. So I'm just surprised. Like, I guess part of me talking about him was like, we're going to get him for like a fourth round pick, and we have 3 of them. And, like, no wonder people were so anti it if so many people thought he was going for a first or a second. That's big money. So that makes a huge difference.
That shows you the talent that he had where other teams viewed him as a first or second rounder. Now, if he would have went out this draft, he probably went a little higher. Next year draft, I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. I'm not saying top 5 pick.
Maybe not without playing, though. He's going to be out of sight, out of mind if he doesn't go find somewhere to play.
I mean, once his pro day comes, people are going to be reminded of what he can do.
Well, yeah, we'll see. The other thing is, before we go, just to cover, like, the way they're going to sue this is the NFL makes the supplemental draft available, and the rules surrounding it are, if you were eligible for the NFL draft, but you chose not to go into it, and then you became ineligible to play in college, you are supposed to be eligible for the supplemental draft. And that's why they're going to sue, because they're going to say he was eligible for that draft. He became ineligible for college. This is the exact scenario you open the system to. If you start picking and choosing based on somebody's background, who you want to let in the NFL and not, then that's an antitrust violation, because they are looked at as a trade organization, and you can't be biased against who comes in. You have to let the teams make the choice of who comes in, and the NFL made the choice for them. So I think that's where it will get sticky, and why there could still be a lawsuit and or potential agreement between Sorsby and the NFL, like some sort of, like, what do you call it? Some sort of like constellation they make together is like, okay, you can come in, but you're suspended this long, or you can come in, but there's going to be rules around you. So we'll see if he's gone for good or not. Realistically, I've said a bunch of times, I still don't think the Browns were the top team to take him. I think somebody would have outbid them. somebody who's like, our second round pick will stink or our third round pick is going to stink, but it's still better than the fourth round pick the Browns would give. And he would end up going to a team that can take the risk because they know who their starter is already, like the Colts or the Dolphins, or somebody who's like, we know our starter for this year and maybe next year, so we don't even have to play him if he's suspended, whatever. That's who I always thought would be in the lead for him.
I was
Is a
just
team
gonna
like the
ask,
Rams.
do you think that like the NFL would be like, hey, yeah, welcome to the NFL, 8 games, you're suspended?
Yeah,
Good luck,
I think
buddy.
I think now more than
Yeah.
ever, I think you better expect it. He's going to miss 6-8 games.
Yeah, I mean, but Roger Goodell made a point to cancel a supplemental draft. If he gets in, you best believe they're going to
Yep.
give him as many games as possible. So
the
again, he's
price
going to
is
be
going down.
taking this year off anyways, because there's no way he's going to play if they give him suspension. Plus, he's not going to be ready.
And honestly, sucks for him, but that's a stupid mistake that even at 18, you have to know, like, you don't do it. They're setting the standard so other people know, because other people aren't first round talented quarterbacks, and they're going to look at this and go, Jesus, if I ever gamble, I may never even play in the NFL. So this is setting a message that both the NFL and NCAA wanted, and like, good. Like, I don't feel bad for Sorsby. He made a ton of money in college. He made hopefully gambling that much, but he just lost a lot of money in the NFL because a first round draft pick quarterback has 30 to 50 million guaranteed, and he's not getting that this year, and he may not be getting that next year.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people are asking, why do Cleveland media want someone other than Sanders? I just want to make it known that this media doesn't want Sorsby on the team. We're just talking about the news.
Yeah,
We're
they
not
also-
advocating for him.
This media also doesn't want Watson all that much either.
Well,
You know, we
maybe
just
not.
we're just trying to keep it real on what's going on for me.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, we're reporting that Sorsby was canceled. He's no longer. He probably can't get into the NFL. And I'm just expressing that he is a good, in my opinion, he could be a good pro. And I think I could see why teams would be interested in him. But we're saying, what we're not saying is we want him outside of Shedeur, because that would be crazy. So we're pro Shedeur here, guys. Just want to make sure that
Not all of us.
Not all of us. So,
well, I'm Shedeur hopeful. I just
I'm sorry, Shedeur hopeful.
I don't get the mentality for sure. That's all. Like I said, if I believed in a quarterback, I wouldn't be worried about the competition, because I would believe that quarterback is gonna win.
And we're gonna get into that right now. Ocho Cinco on his podcast flat out said the Browns' entire quarterback blueprint. He said Deshaun Watson starting week 1 to week 6. And then after that, it's going to be Shedeur all the way.
So there's this big story that he had, that his inside source, if you guys didn't hear, that he's talking to Jerry Jeudy, because people know he has a relationship with Jerry Jeudy.
Yes.
I honestly heard Mike say that like 4 weeks ago. So I think Mike might be actually leaking stuff from the podcast to Ocho Cinco, because he said the exact same thing Mike said last month.
I called up Ocho Cinco. I was like, hey, dude, you need to report this.
Dude,
but don't make it look like the Bearded Browns said this at all.
Hey, we're going to win the podcast of the year.
We don't want it. We don't want nobody to know. We're not supposed to be sharing information, but yeah, that's what he said it. And I watched it, and he was very definitive. Like sources say, they're going to start with Watson. He's going to have, like you just said, the 6 weeks to prove himself. And if he doesn't, they'll swap him. And I was like, well, first of all, that's exactly what Mike said. Second of all, that seems like the easy, like, cop-out route. And I'm not saying that they won't do it. I'm saying, like, that does seem like exactly what Mike said when he said it. The context was because you could throw in Watson and when he believes he'll fail, and then you get through the initial part of the season, and then you bring in Shedeur to save the day. And, like, that seems like the easy algorithm for how you just don't shoot yourself in the foot like you could if you put in Shedeur and he struggles the first 3 or 4 weeks. We all think the team has a ton of offensive growth with all these rookies and sophomores and a brand new line. Like that first month or two is going to be rough. They're on the road for 5 of the first 6 games. It's going to be a rip. It makes it much easier, such a cop-out, but a reasonable one, to say, like, any quarterback could struggle in that, and we'd rather it was Deshaun, and then we can be like, Shedeur, save the day. but you don't want to put in Shedeur and then after a month be like, he's struggling. Now we have to put in Watson. Like, oh my God, I cannot imagine the media if that happened.
Yeah, it's if this is true, if Jerry Jeudy is talking the plans to another podcaster, for one, I'm upset that he's not doing it to us because we're local and he can at least give us some love. For two, at least send me a text, right? For two, that's not good. Like, that's not good that you're sitting there telling somebody, hey, and if it's true, this is going to be ugly because I believe most of the people, if you're reading our chat right now, want Shedeur Sanders to start. And if Deshaun Watson, if the plan's already laid out right now, right before training camp starts, and they just decide to go through this fake competition that they're going to put on display for the media to see to ensure it's a fair fight, but yet you have it on your whiteboard, Watson 1, Shedeur 2, and you have a time frame written out, that seems kind of crazy to me. And if Jerry Jeudy, is the one talking about the plans to somebody else, that's very toxic. And that tells me that Monken has a lot more fires to put out. And then Kevin had some fires to put out that Monken's going to have to do.
Yeah,
And
that's
we'll get to Monken at the end, by the way. We have a whole little section on Monken, but like it does raise like that's a worth question I'd like to think about when we talk about like the Monken honeymoon season, because like that would be one of the first things where we're like people start leaking out like, oh, does he have control of his guys, right?
Yeah.
And so, but honestly, I don't know if it's anything more, and you guys can tell me what you think. I don't know if it's anything more than Jerry Judy's friends with Ocho Cinco, and he's like, so tell me the scoop, what's going on? And he's like, I think Watson's ahead, but like,
yeah, it could be
not by a lot. And so like, if he's not great, they're not gonna stick with him or something like that. And he's just guessing. I mean, Mike guessed the same number of games. It's just a logical guess of like 6 weeks is that really big start of the season push, and it still gives the next guy more than 2/3 of the season to come in. So like, it could easily just be him clarifying like, yeah, the reports are right. Watson's ahead, but like, we're not feeling great about it. And like, and then he just like making the guess of the games. I just don't believe any even if there was a thing like that, because this is people said this last year. I don't believe the coach would ever tell the team that, like, hey guys, we're starting Watson and I'm going to give him 6 weeks. Like, I don't think anybody would ever be that clear. Right. So I think he's probably just like doing what Mike did and just coming up with the logical time frame of like what makes sense if Watson starts.
Being due to injury or poor play.
Yeah. It's like you give this guy a month and a half, and if he doesn't look good by then you probably think he's not going to look good. And so I think it could be just.
Would that be fair for Sanders again to throw him in limited reps, quote unquote?
I mean, he'll have a lot more this year, at least, right? He's number 2, so at least he had all the mini camp reps. He'll get some in training camp till like literally right before they start practicing for the season. And it will be, and I guess the fairness would be you'd have to balance like, yeah, it'd be nicer if he got the last like 2 weeks of training camp training as the starter and got those first team reps. But also the worst part of the season when the team has a chance to kind of like figure things out is gone. So maybe it balances. Maybe he's got the disadvantage of less like straight practices, but the advantage of like, we just went 5 games on the road and now I get to play at home in front of our fans. And like the receivers are figuring it out. The offensive line has gotten their calls together. So,
yes, I'm going to say, Mike,
11 games.
I was going to go over Brian Johnson's comment and said, what is the benefit of playing Watson and getting rid of him next year? They're really
winning.
Well, winning, yes, but then also you could either sign him again or you could get some trade value out of him.
I'm going to save that my answer for that in a little bit.
Okay.
Don Flowers says something that maybe can be in the realm of possibility. He says, I'm waiting for Watson to play well and get an extension that will blow up fans on social media. What is the possibility of Deshaun Watson coming in, going. Mike, you said it before. If he wins 5 games in a row and he's balling, he goes 10-7, 11-6, playoff appearance. You win a playoff
They are
game.
not going to want to be the Vikings. That's for damn sure,
Yeah,
right? They're not going to be like,
I'll tell you right now, Jimmy Haslam will be like, see, I told you so. Let's sign
it was
the
just
guy.
the injuries. We just
Yeah,
got bad
the
luck. It
injuries.
was all injuries. We made
Like,
the
what
right
would you
trade.
do,
He
Mike?
just got injured.
You could bring in the worst player with the worst attitude, the worst past, whatever, in Cleveland, and if this guy starts winning games, everybody will completely forgive you.
I agree.
Just the
Good
way
answer.
it is.
But to answer your question, I think almost none percent because I just don't
Yeah.
believe it. And I haven't seen anything. If he
I
was
agree.
going to be that guy, he would look better at practice. And so I say like 5% chance that he's that good, but it exists.
I want to
Yeah.
say
So
if he's
Don's-
anything like he was in the end of that video that Angel sent us earlier, then yes, he will be horrible. I don't know
Oh
if
my
you
gosh.
saw that
that
video.
Man, if y'all
wedding
saw what
is-
I saw on Instagram with Deshaun Watson last night, you would be. I was sitting there feeling good about Deshaun Watson until
his
that
social
video.
media presence is so whack, and
Yeah.
he's always dancing, but it doesn't look good.
It's
He's
like,
got
why,
like his wife
why
in it.
can't you just stay quiet? Just
His
get
wife
into,
is kind of charismatic too, but like
yeah.
everybody's got this little bit of a grudge of her of like, you're not gonna hold him accountable for all the things. Like, so like nobody like a lot of people are skeptical of her, but then he gets on the camera and you're like, there's some cringe to him lately where you're just like,
He
I don't
just
like
needs to stay off social media. Only show us when you're throwing the football.
Yep.
Everything else, fans just don't they don't like you to begin with. You're making it worse. Speaking of more quarterback talk, on the flip flop, Zach Jackson is low on the quarterback room in general, but specifically on Watson's play. And if there's
came out
any,
like the same time as that Ocho Cinco thing is like Ocho says, looks like Watson's going to start. I'm pretty sure of that. And immediately Zach Jackson's interview, like same day, is like the room is bad, but Watson looks bad. Like, no.
yeah. So
Listen, I said this again a million times. I really genuinely, guys, don't care about camp. It's a bunch of dudes running around without pads on. Yeah, some of them are fighting for a job. It's just unrealistic to me. To me, it is. I don't know. I don't care about camp. I really don't. Yes, you get your rookies in there and you get them acclimated. They start doing some things. Yes, but dude, nobody really cared. I don't at all. Like I really don't.
The only issue I have with camp, here's the only issue I have, my only pushback, Mike, because you're right. Like, nobody's hitting. You don't make. The only thing I have is that's when it should be easiest for the quarterbacks because nobody is rushing them. Nobody, like, they don't get tackled ever. But, like, it should be, you shouldn't look bad at that part of camp when you're throwing to your guys in shorts because it's only going to get more difficult when they start when your receivers aren't as open because the defender can actually like start putting hands on them and like jamming them at the line of scrimmage, which they can't do right now. And when like the rushers, even though they can't tackle you in practice, when they're really coming at you in full gear with arms up and knocking your like offensive lineman back, like they can't tackle the quarterback, but they can close the pocket, which they're not doing now. So it does make me nervous. Browns camp after Browns camp, when like, well, the quarterbacks are struggling early, and I'm like, this is when I want it to feel like it's just cake. Like they're just going out there like slinging it around because there's nothing. It's just 7-on-7s and like it should be like flag football.
What I do
And,
want
like,
to
it
say is
does make me nervous.
whoever does the Browns social media, the reels and stuff, Angel, you should be doing this because they posted a reel of Shedeur making a great pass, but Jared Verse could have probably sacked him about 7 times during that process. And he just stopped.
You're right. You're right.
Like,
You're 100% right.
The people that do pay attention to that stuff look at that little detail
Yep.
of him holding onto the ball too long. That was a problem last year.
Or they don't watch Verse standing there, could have gotten a sack 10 seconds ago, and they see the ball thrown deep to Isaiah Bond for a touchdown. And they say, see, Shedeur Sanders is ready. It's like, guys, like that
was a sack 4 seconds ago. Yeah.
That was a sack.
He does like a full step, and it's Watson too.
It's Watson. Exactly. It's
Watson's running out of the pocket, and the guy like goes like, and the defender just kind of runs past him, and then he keeps rolling out, and you're like, this is make believe now. But the coaches see that, and when they review it later, they're like, they know like, okay, you failed on that. You need to get rid of the ball earlier. So
Yeah, the Leanne, I think that's her name, said that Monken explained those things are intentional, not the non-sack, right? He's talking about holding the ball, running around. He says some of that is intentional because that's typical game situation plays.
Yeah.
But him through him hit the off, which makes you believe if you want to go a little deeper here, like when people say 10, 11 games, and I watch the fact that our offensive line can't hold our current defensive line, it makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Because they're not gelling yet. So
and Leanne, the other thing is like, yes, in practice, it's no different from when you throw a ball to a receiver or you hand off to a running back in practice and somebody definitely like slaps him on the hips and the coach says, just keep running, pretend you broke the tackle and like just run to the end zone, right? Like just extend the play, keep going to get the extra workout, to get the extra steps, to get the extra sprint. But like you'd still rather the person didn't get caught, right?
Yeah.
So it's like between the two, like, yeah, you should keep running and like finish the play, even if it's technically like dead, but you'd prefer you didn't get caught by a linebacker and he just outran him.
Sam has a good opinion. He said, sounds like we need to start Dylan Gabriel, maybe Taylon Green.
Hey, best man up, right?
Let's go, man.
I don't even think they're in the mix. I think Monken came in and I don't think they're in the mix. Also, though, I've seen just a couple clips of Dylan. He's made a couple nice throws, very limited amount that we've gotten to see, but the same thing. I've seen him like backing up, like, and then like a defender gets to him and he's got to like keep looking around for like, who could I throw to? So like, I don't see anything better out of him either. And Taylon Green is in the position right now that Sanders was in last year where he's not even getting one rep with the ones or twos. He's just sitting back trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
He's just learning still.
Yeah, on to the next question. Are teams really calling on Shedeur Sanders via trade?
I believe there might be.
Okay.
Good answer.
Not
I was
many.
curious what you guys thought.
Not many, but I believe there are a couple. I mean, who is in real dire need of a quarterback, or in the same shoes that we're in, where you have a quarterback that's coming in after a big injury for not playing for 2 years, and that could happen again.
New York
There's-
Jets are in a bind.
There's
Their
little
quarterback-
New
fat.
York, though, you think like New York, like they have, like it sounds like Geno Smith had those like some allegations. He got a call to the house for like a battery, but they like closed the case immediately. So that's not even, I don't even know if that'll get investigated. And then who do they have behind him now?
I read a report that the NFL is still going to investigate that, actually.
They will, but like if the police didn't even investigate, like how much can they find if there's no like police reports and no open case, right? Because that's what they do a lot of times.
Cardinals.
So
they got Carson back.
The teams that don't have a quarterback are teams that I think were actively, purposely not getting a quarterback to tank, to come in at the bottom next year. And I almost wonder at this point in the season, like who's looking to add somebody that's not really a veteran to their room. Like
Dylan Gabriel to Falcons.
Yeah,
Sorry.
if they didn't, he's their third person. But I'm just wondering, like, because people always say like, oh, the Jets would go in on Sorsby, the Jets would want Sanders. It's like the Jets have 3 first-round picks and literally gave up some of their best players last year so they could come in at the bottom. They seem like they want to finish at the bottom, and the Cardinals too had opportunities. They let Kyler walk, even though they were paying him because they would rather fail so they can just start over. So those teams that are actively like, just like what the Raiders did last year, letting their guys sit, trading their best players. The only difference between the Browns, who traded their best player, is they got a player in return that they could play now. And if you were tanking, you wouldn't want somebody now. You would want only future. And so like, but there are teams that openly seem like they're trying to lose, and that happens every year. That's not new. And there's a really good quarterback class coming in. You'd think you wouldn't want to do what the Browns did 2 years ago and bring in a bunch of quarterbacks that could accidentally like shake it up and win a game or two, and then you lose the chance to draft at the top. That happened to the Browns 2 years in a row. They had the ability, but they won some games.
Yeah, I seen that. up.
for Ward,
No.
and they had the ability to get Mendoza, but they won 2 games at the end of the season.
Yeah,
It's
I got a
like-
team that might be interested, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh,
Because I
Dang.
just did a live this past weekend with the Jags podcaster / fan, and his biggest worry on the team is their backup quarterback. Jags.
Who do they have behind Trevor?
Nick Mullins.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
that's an
I think
upgrade.
it's more the only question you have is, do you want, knowing that you have a starter and Sanders has no shot to start there, do you want to bring that fan base and the noise behind Trevor
Well,
Lawrence,
I
who
have
you
the
just
same question
extended?
for you, Chad. My question to you is that same fan base who's here, who's making a lot of noise, going to want to sit behind Deshaun Watson while he's playing the 6 games, supposedly that's
can I
planned out?
answer that question?
No.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
answer?
Yeah, go ahead. You can do it.
So, for everybody that is new to the show, lots of comments saying that they're going to support Shedeur Sanders no matter where he's at. Guys, we are a Cleveland Browns podcast. We talk about Cleveland Browns quarterbacks. Obviously, it's a yearly thing, year in, year out since 1999. If you're a Shedeur fan, that's great. But look at the quarterback history in Cleveland before you start saying that Shedeur is the guy. Just there's multiple things that go into this as fans of the show. Thank you. But look at the quarterback history with the Cleveland Browns, and you'll understand why we're at where we're at.
Yeah.
Ask them. So we do have a bunch of
42 since 98.
guys.
Thank you.
We do have a bunch of guys and gals in the crowd today who are Sanders guys. Would you rather he was playing for the Browns right now or the Jaguars? Because if I'm looking at Sanders, I'd rather he play here because I think all 3 of us think he's got a shot to play games on this team this year. And if you go to Jacksonville, you're only hoping for Trevor Lawrence to get hurt or he doesn't have a shot. And I don't mean this year, I mean ever. Like Trevor Lawrence is going to be their quarterback for the next 5 years. Watson, even if he starts this year, he's not starting next year. Sanders has a future here with 2 more years on his deal, and Watson, unless he's great, doesn't. So I just think for me, I would want him here because I want him to be somewhere where he's got a shot.
Yeah, I agree. The issue is going to be, and I'm gonna kind of go into it right now. Does the team believe in Shedeur Sanders? Does the organization believe in Shedeur Sanders?
I know some of the players believe in him for sure.
That's great, but does the front office believe in Shedeur Sanders?
That is to be untold.
And that is a answer that most Browns fans should fear, because if he's been in your atmosphere for a year and going into your 2nd year, and you're still doubting that he can even start on your team, that you have a quarterback who has 2 legs with no muscles on him that can possibly start over him, to me, that brings doubt in my mind that he's even good enough to start on this team.
And that's where I'm at when people say, like, I'm anti-Shedeur. And I'm like, no, I want Shedeur to beat Deshaun Watson because all of us think Deshaun Watson is coming off a lot of injuries, too much time off, is really as rusty as any quarterback has ever been in NFL history. I just don't feel comfortable because I wanted Sanders to come out and blow him away early in camp. And there's still time. Maybe when they get the pads on, like the magic will light up. He might be able to do that. But like the reason I'm not excited is because I wanted to see more. He started 7 games last year, and I know like the line has changed, but like he should have great rapport with Fannin coming into this training camp and Jerry Jeudy, and he should be thrown to Bond. He threw to Bond a ton. And so you're like some of your main people, he should have better chemistry with than Jeudy, and all the new guys, he should have equal chemistry, right? So it's like, to me, I thought he had the advantage, and I thought, oh, if he made the leap that I was hoping for, he'd be way ahead. And like, I'm not just going off what the coaches have said, I'm going off reporters, insiders, and what I've seen of like the practice clips. Like, he doesn't seem ahead. They do both seem like they're kind of having good and bad days, good and bad throws. And I'm waiting for him to take a leap.
Every player has good and bad days. I'm not saying that this is going to be the end all be all for either quarterback.
Right.
Gary says that Watson's only being considered because of his contract. I mean,
The
he's
contract's already paid.
yeah.
They
I mean,
paid
he's
him no matter what. Yeah.
right. He's a quarterback that's on the team.
And the other thing is Monken doesn't care about that contract. It's his first year here. It's his first time. Like, I do believe the team is probably like, you got to give him a fair
Yeah.
shot. We paid him a lot. We want to see if it's not that they want to play him because they paid him. They paid him because they thought he could play. And so I could see them being like, let's see if he comes back to himself. But if Monken, like, you can't tell me they hired a first year head coach. And if he's going to go to them and be like, dude, Sanders, who we also picked, who is our guy, who's younger, is killing Watson, that the GM is going to be like, no, we don't want him to play. Like that, this GM picked him. And it would be best case scenario if you don't need Watson anymore. Like we talked about, it's a slim chance Watson gets extended. You don't want Watson to be extended. You want Sanders to be here. He's under contract and he's cheap. He was a 5th rounder. You have to pay him like $1 million a year. For an NFL team, that's nothing. You're paying most of the team more than that. So, like, yeah, you want Sanders. Like, Monken has to want Sanders to win this job, which is why I think the competition is still going. I think he wants Sanders to win the job.
Speaking of competition, guys, let me ask you guys something. What are you guys' real thoughts on this? The AFC North has obviously changed quite a bit this season, coming in with new coaches all around, new staff all around. Everybody's AFC North, the infamous AFC North has changed quite a bit. Obviously, all these teams are rivals to us, and they're big games for us. With all these changes coming up, who is to say that we couldn't win more than 5 games? I mean, I think it's you got Minter is a first-year head coach, a young guy. Which in general, I wanted a younger guy at first because the NFL, I believe, is changing, and I thought it would be great to go with a younger guy, but we went with the old head like Sam wanted. I think that I'm not going to underestimate just us as a team and have high hopes or low hopes now, just because every other team in the division for games that actually do matter quite a bit. I'm not saying that there's a possibility we could win the division, guys, if we get our stuff together. And these other teams are not as good.
That's so optimistic. But you did just bring something up that I would like to point out. We're talking about Todd Monken, right? In competition with all young coaches, pretty much. Like Schwartz was in the mix, I guess, but pretty much all young coaches. The rest of the division like went their own ways, and Steelers went veteran. The Ravens went younger. But out of all the head coaches, there's this like vibe of like the young coaches are what you want because they've got the big upside that they can turn into a star later. Of all the people that probably are like older guys can do it as well as anybody else, it's Todd Monken. And when it comes to like picking a quarterback, like I hear so many arguments like Sanders has the more upside because he's the younger guy. Todd Monken's probably thinking like, don't tell me that just because you're younger, you have the most upside. I think I'm the best guy. And I was much older than all the other first year head coach candidates. So he's probably thinking more of like, I just want to see who can do it. And I know that's off the topic of what you just said, but it just kind of flashed in my head. Like, of course, Monken doesn't buy like, because you're the younger, newer guy, you must be the best choice, because he's thinking of himself and he thinks, well, I've always thought I was the guy and I want to go out there and prove it. But I also think it's really optimistic to think we can win this division given where the other teams are. But I don't think it's optimistic to think we can win games, because I've said what I'm worried about with our quarterback room is that are either of them good enough to be mediocre and win us 7 games, but really not
lose us,
take to themselves to the next level. And then next year you pick 11th in the draft and there's 3 great quarterbacks and you miss all 3 of them. And you're stuck with either who do I choose, whichever guy played Watson or Sanders. And they weren't great, but they won us too many games to pick the next guy. And, you know, that's, for me, that's a scary thing. And it's way too early to be thinking that way. But like, I've thought that in December, like last year, I was like, we're throwing in Sanders at the end of the season. We could like spark some lightning. And what did we do? We won 2 games against teams where we played really bad, but they played worse.
Yeah.
And instead of having the first pick in the draft, we picked 6th. And it was like,
here's some food for thought. Here's some food for thought. Who has been the top in the AFC North? Who's been on top the last decade? We'll go with that.
It's very
Baltimore,
right?
right? Baltimore,
Ravens.
Ravens.
Cincinnati a couple times.
But like
Who's-
Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl. Steelers have gone to the playoffs, I think,
Yeah.
more than the Ravens. But I think the Ravens have like been the team who has been consistently challenging.
So here's where I'm borderline optimistic, where the Ravens have always kind of gotten there. They've always done pretty well with Todd Monken and crew that we've kind of kidnapped from Baltimore. But this seems to me kind of like a Buffalo thing, where you make it, but you can't make it.
Hmm.
So that's what has me kind of with some optimistic belief this year that we are going to do something well. The coaching staff has meshed well. Obviously, we know that. Can they do it in Cleveland?
I just think we have too many young pieces that need to grow and mature before we get to that point. And I'm not, and someone just said you guys are too negative. Listen, I'm a Browns fan. I've seen nothing but losing. And if you think I'm going to come on a podcast and it's going to be sunshine and rainbows every podcast, I'm sorry. I'm as real. I'm going to be real. I'm not going to be fake. I think the Browns are in a good position to win. But I think this year they're going to have to learn
It would
to
be
win.
a tall task.
Yeah,
No
because
team
they
with
haven't
this
learned
many
to
young
win.
guys. Yeah,
Yes.
no team with this many young guys coming out of college. Because remember, we drafted 10 guys this year, and we drafted something like 9 last year, and then picked up 3 undrafted free agents. That's half our roster is like babies.
Young.
So I think you could win more games than people expect, and if they come together quick. We also brought in our offensive line is veteran, but all 5 starters are going to be new, which means they are going to take time to gel. I just think this is a year, and I've said this before, and it hasn't panned out, but what you're going to hope is November and December look really good, because
That's
then
where
you'll
it
know you're
matters.
on track.
100%.
But it might be too late. If you win 2 out of your first 6, you're like, okay, well, now we're probably already out of it, But
I think the Browns
the
are
trajectory
going
is up.
Yeah, I think the Browns offensively are going to look night and day better than what they did last year. Whether that's 5 or 6 games or 7 games they win, to me that doesn't matter. I want to know if they're scoring more than 20 points a game. Because you might be in a situation where you're losing 24-21. And to me, they look better and they're learning to win, especially how young this team is, especially if you have a young quarterback like Shedeur, learning as he's playing, but he's growing as a player. That's a positive for me. But do I think they can win the division? Sure. But am I going to bet it? No, because I have not seen that since Baker
And that's
was
what it
here.
comes down to. So I have people all the time like, be more positive. I'm like, you want to be positive? Go bet $1,000 on the Browns to win the division. I bet
Hey,
you
let's
won't.
not bring up betting today,
Hey,
buddy.
why you gotta do that, man?
But I bet you won't. I bet you'd be like, oh, you could be hopeful. And I'm like, yeah, I'm hopeful, but I wouldn't put my money where my mouth is. Like, I think they have done a lot of good stuff to build. I think it comes down, I think they have a team that if they have a good quarterback, you could end this year. Like if Sanders does take the leap and starts throwing for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception a game, like something in that realm, not even like a superstar, just 200s for passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, like that, anything like that, you are going to leave feeling like, even though you might not win as many games as we want, you're going to think everything is going the right way and that all you're doing is building towards like a championship window. That's what we're hoping for. It's just, I'm not going to bet on it for this year.
All we need to do, literally, we have a defense. Now we have Jared Verse, which is a team leader. He's going to come in here and be a team leader for the defense. And I'm not, we talked about it again. Chad, remember that the defense wins championships unless you're the Cleveland Browns. We need to keep those guys off the field as much as humanly possible and score points. That's all we have to do. The defense can stop them if they're not out there 3/4 of the game. It's kind of a simple theory, but the offense does have to mesh well. And like we said again, it could take 4 to 6 games for that offense to come together. So don't expect greatness right off the bat, everybody.
Yeah. Shout out to
Don't
Gary
matter
for this $1.99 super chat. Yes. It throws $2.
Let's hit a couple of these comments. Let's see.
Yeah.
So 49ers is talking about gambling has a 75% relapse rate. Okay. I mean, we're not I don't think we're taking Sorsby now, so I don't think
Yeah,
that
I
matters.
don't think that's gonna help
I
his
would bet.
cause.
I'd be willing to bet like almost every friend I know makes bets either in fantasy football, March Madness, or on a FanDuel. Like most of my friends do that occasionally, but I don't think they're hard gamblers.
Like Sam said,
But
it's legal. You just can't do it when you're in college on a team and whatnot.
Kenny's very convinced. He says, just build your team and you can plug in any quarterback and go to the Super Bowl. Look, we took Jimmy G to the Super Bowl. Here's the issue. You have who I think is the
The
best
best coach.
strategic coach
Yeah.
in the entire league. And two, okay, that happened once for the 49ers. Bad news. It
Yes,
doesn't happen for everybody else. It almost never happens. So, like, if you're planning your team on, well, the 49ers did this once, while every other good team did something different, then you're doing a stupid plan because you're planning for an outlier instead of like the most common way to win.
Yeah.
Until you get a quarterback, you have to keep building your team, but it's very rare that you can just build a team and plug in any quarterback. And just a reminder, Kenny, Jimmy G lost that Super Bowl, and then Brock Purdy went and lost another one. And you know why? Because they're not good enough quarterbacks. So
Yes.
great that you plugged in a quarterback and you rode them to the Super Bowl, but you're not going to win one until you
Wait,
have
Purdy
a
was
good
hurt though. Wasn't
quarterback.
Purdy hurt? Brock was hurt though.
I think he had an ankle injury.
Yeah, I think he was hurt. I think if he
Still,
was healthy, I think the Niners would have pulled that out. Not because I like Kyle Shanahan.
Maybe.
but
I still think that'd be a big outlier. But even so, like, yeah, that's a much better position. Hell yeah, I would rather be
Head
the team that
Ranger,
plugs in a quarterback.
close only counts and horseshoes and hand grenades, buddy.
But yeah, but even so, like, yeah, I would love to do what the 49ers have been doing where they're a playoff team most years. They go to the Super Bowl a lot. But we've seen Kyle Shanahan, he's as an offensive coordinator. We saw the guy in Cleveland go 7-4 with somebody who's not even in the league after he left. Like, and then he became the OC in Atlanta. They finally made their Super Bowl run. And then we see him in the 49ers, and he's just doing it with everybody. But it's a very Kyle Shanahan thing. Like, you want to give us Kyle Shanahan back? Sure. I'll say that we plug in whoever. But again, like, the way to do it consistently is to have a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, Lamar. That's how you go to the
Coleman.
playoffs consistently.
Yeah. KP Young said something to the effect that 3 out of 5 are veterans, and it's not that we're not saying the offensive line is not going to play well. We're saying that to think that you're just going to get 5 random guys sync together right away is it's going to be hard. Not to say it's
and they're not all 5 all-stars. They're 5 okay linemen. None of
that
them were
just hit the
blowing
market
anybody
at the
away
right
last year. They're
time.
They're better than what we had last year. We all think that. But to imagine they're all going to come together and just like peak in September, and you got to start strong. That's what's tough. Like, none of us are saying like we all think our offense is going to be better, but like 2 of our best receiving weapons
Definitely
are
not Vrabel.
rookies, and the next one is a sophomore, right? So like, do you really think like Boston, Concepcion, and Fannin are in their prime now? No. Do we like that we have them all? Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, it could take some time. Judkins looks great. He's also coming off a pretty traumatic injury. I don't think it's crazy to think he might not just blow it out of the gate. Like, it's just, there's a lot of factors saying that like the Browns are going to take some time and they're still in a building mode. It's part of the reason Miles is gone. They traded Miles
because
Garrett.
he knows they're not going to win more than 6, 7 games.
We have so many young guys on this team that we think we're getting good. We think we're on the way, but we think we're going to need a year or 2 before we're consistently a playoff competitor. And Miles is going to be ready to like bounce by then. So
Ian Coleman asked me, Angel, who would you rather take, Vrabel or Shanahan? Well, considering what Vrabel went through this past offseason, I'm going to take Kyle Shanahan all day.
Cleveland Browns' motive, man.
I'm taking few people over Shanahan. He is so underrated. The fact that people don't look at him, like him and McVay stand out as no matter what the circumstances, they make their team good. And I've seen them elevate guys. And they're just, I've never seen a guy be able to do so much with mediocre quarterbacks. It's what we hoped Kevin would do. He can take mediocre quarterbacks and make them decent, but he's never been able to do like what Shanahan does, where he takes guys that most teams would be looking to replace immediately and just trots them in the playoffs over and over. It's awesome.
Can I bring up one more thing about Shedeur that's going to be negative, but it's been on my mind. I just need to get it out, and I would like to talk it out with you guys.
Can we all in the chat just agree that Angel is just such a Sanders hater, and me and Mike
No,
are
I
the
have a
fans.
theory. I have a theory that I want to work out with you guys. A
Okay, bring
theory
it.
in which why it goes along with what we were talking about our teams really calling on Sanders for trades. Ironically, I think a lot of people misinterpret what Tony Rizzo was saying. I think, and the people tied Sorsby to that. And I think what Tony Rizzo was saying was that if Sanders is a backup quarterback, he's not going to want to be a backup quarterback. Okay.
Mm.
So I think what Riz was saying was the Browns are entertaining calls because they are aware of the situation, that he doesn't want to be a backup quarterback. And if he is a backup quarterback, the noise is going to get louder. And I have a footprint of noise that has been already been loud enough for me to hear that I think either people have ignored or just forgotten about. And I just got three. There's plenty, but I'm just going to give you three because it's supposed to be an hour show and we're over. First one, it happened on Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. Shedeur Sanders came out and told Mary Kay to make him a sandwich because she said that real early, by the way, super early, that Deshaun Watson should just be named starter. My question is, how is that beneficial for the guy that is in your building that you hope is going to start, but that his family is talking about a reporter that you have ties with to the point where you named her a Hall of Fame reporter in your own practice facility, right? So for me, the Browns see that. If I was the Browns, I'd be like, he's okay, whatever. That's just one time. But then Deion goes on, our friend of show, the Barbershop podcast, and then says, well, my son went through hell last year with the draft and with the media locally in Cleveland. He went through hell. So as a organization, I'm hearing that his dad is now talking about the organization. Lastly, last week, I'm going through this real quick. He said these comments: a quarterback needs help tremendously from an offensive line, from the receivers, and from the running game, from the coordinator as well. It's not just a singular thing. I take that as he is calling out the organization and he is saying, listen, it's not my son's fault that he sucked so bad last year. Though he did say he takes some credibility for it. Like, he said Shedeur does need some things to work on, but it was also the line, the receivers, the running backs. As an organization, I feel that if Shedeur Sanders is your backup quarterback, those comments are going to get louder. And I think the organization sees that. And I think the organization is trying to get in front of that. That is why they're taking calls for a trade, just to see if they get a good enough offer to move on from Sanders, because they know that he may not beat out Deshaun Watson early this season.
But
Thoughts
you
on that?
might see him shortly thereafter. I don't know. That's all reckless speculation.
But it's speculation nonetheless, because he literally
totally
just
different.
called out the the quarterback, the offensive line, to why his son didn't perform well.
Well, we knew that. That's been a common.
And why is he saying it?
He
He
wants
doesn't need to say it. We all knew. All the fans knew it. The only people that doesn't realize is the haters. Like, we know.
No,
that.
it's the Shedeur fans, not the Browns fans.
No, I'd say the one that doesn't realize that the line was an issue was
Yeah.
the
Oh my gosh.
the line was an issue. If those who
Anybody that
don't want to
listens
admit
to this
that,
show,
they're true
anybody
haters.
that listens to this show knows how, what the problems this team had last year, because we were pointing them out chronically. But so I had a totally different theory. I get it. I'm surprised it hasn't been louder, to be honest, because I thought we would hear a lot more last year. You might be right, though. Maybe they just said last year, okay, we'll let it go. He eventually became the starter. If he doesn't come in the starter this year, I guess it's reasonable to think you might hear more. You definitely hear a lot from the fans, which I don't think the team is listening to. But when you hear it from Dion or a family member, it makes headline news because they are huge, right? I don't know. It's a tough one like that. I get the worry. I don't know if I know that it will happen, if it will stay that loud, but I do see why you'd be worried. And I guess the person that would be taking that to heart when a voice calls out an organization's line and receivers is the GM who's putting the team together, would be the one who's like, hey man, I'm trying. We're trying.
Yeah, we're trying.
You know, here.
I just don't think Deion's doing his son a service by commenting on the team's issues. I think Deion, we're all aware that the team sucked last year. That's my point. My point is, if Deion just takes the background and let his son play and defend himself, because what I hear a lot is Shedeur Sanders really didn't play for anybody else but his dad, and now there's competition that he has to compete against. There's a problem because he's not used to competing, because whenever he was in a position to start, his dad was there to make sure he started. But now he's not in a position to start and someone give it to him, like Chad said earlier. People are making this big deal about it, like Sorsby or Watson. Like, this is let him just play. Let him beat out Watson, and then we all can be happy on this podcast. And then hopefully he gives us 10 wins.
Here's something else that everybody's got to look at. You have a rookie quarterback coming off of his rookie year against a guy that in 2018 and 2019 was lights out, elite. So there's going to be some discrepancy there. Obviously, you're going to give Deshaun Watson a fair shot to start because, like we said, Todd Monken didn't draft either one of these guys, not one of them.
Yep.
He's playing with what he's got dealt, so he's going to.
He made it clear. He made it clear he would have liked in the 5th round for the Ravens to draft Sanders. So,
I mean, so give it a grain of salt, man. Take it all with a grain of salt. This could be just a buildup. I'm not sitting there trying to say this because we're on a show, but I hate Cleveland media. I'm sure a majority of people that are watching right now hate Cleveland media as well because they blow up things way out of proportion where they shouldn't be. And I think Gary did a show on this yesterday.
It's a factor here because people care so much about the Browns that you can always stay relevant by, like, the media's always plug in something positive, mostly negative, but we know who's positive and we know who's negative. And the media plays on the fact that they know it will blow up because Cleveland will be paying attention.
Yep, I agree.
You
think if the media came out in Atlanta today and was like, Michael Penix is behind Tua in the quarterback race, anybody says anything? Nope, because
Browns fans
Michael Penix doesn't have the same, like, cachet publicly as Sanders, and Atlanta people don't give a crap what their backup quarterback's doing, and they're just gonna say, like, well, let me know when the season starts. Like, why are we talking about it?
There
I
are
think
3
Cleveland is gonna blow up.
I'll say there's probably 3 teams that are iconically known for media and blowing things out of proportion, and going to a team as a quarterback are could be detrimental to your career. But that's Buffalo, Dallas, and the Browns. Those are my 3.
New York, is a pretty big spot.
Jets or Giants.
Yeah,
Giants.
both. But if you're in New York, like, remember Eli, man? Eli was like, oh, he took us to playoffs again, but we didn't win. But like, it can be pretty tough. I think New York, I agree, though. New York and Dallas, especially, are 2 places where, like, I remember the amount of times people were like, cut Dak Prescott, he sucks, blah, blah, blah. And it's like 10 years later, he's still their quarterback. It's like, whew.
Yeah. Next question. It's a Todd Monken question. Is the honeymoon for Monken still on?
Nope. Yes, it is. It is very much so on, and it'll be on for quite a while.
Yeah. The next question Chad put in is how long will it last?
It depends on if you're winning or losing.
I say 2 months. I say 2 months, and he's got 2 months before they have a losing record after 2 months.
No, I think that's
the case. I think people will be like, I'm over it.
No, that would be wrong for them to do that. I would give him 2 into year 3. Like, you have to give him 2 years. This year again, well, because you have to understand. Like, for me, I understand that this team
people
is
were
very
ready to fire Kevin in 2021 after our first playoff win.
No, I wasn't.
In our history, but
I didn't
people
want to
were.
fire.
I don't mean you guys specifically. I mean,
people
honeymoon,
were
like,
ready,
how long?
ready to. Yeah, I agree with that. I think
shorter leash than that.
Yeah, you should be able to make the playoffs or at least flirt next year. So you should have some win.
Yep.
You should have a winning record next year.
If Sanders or I guess Watson is any good.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Like, your quarterback, if Sanders is good, if not, then you're starting all over with the rookie.
This team went to the playoffs and won a game and was a 12-win team in 2020. The next year, Baker Mayfield got hurt, so he couldn't play as well.
Yeah,
and then you go win 7 games. Like, that's what happens when you don't have, when the quarterback can't play. Like, the same exact roster that won 12 games win 7 because the quarterback level drops. Like, it's that impactful. So,
Is
like,
it
that's
is
why
it
people are like, it's much more impactful, the quarterback versus the team around him, in my opinion. Like,
y-
it can go both ways, but for the team around him to fail, you've got a dozen people have to fail. But if the quarterback fails,
Oh.
it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing, you're not gonna win.
is it fair to
At least not
say
regularly.
I would want to see how they look? Again, I don't want I don't want to look as bad as we did the last 2 years offensively. I think if
We
we are
can't.
scoring 20 20 points minimum a game, I think that's a huge, huge win. Even if you go 7-10 and you don't make the playoffs, to me, a lot of fans may be disappointed in me. I'm like, guys, we averaged 21, 22 points a game. That's 6 more points than we did last year. We look like a capable offense. Let this team grow with the young talent. And then I think next year, we should take a leap to where you're hunting for at least a wild card division.
I
Here's
want to
my
hit.
breakdown. The quarterback position this year is better than last year. I know we came in with Flacco. People had high hopes for the
I
guy.
think
I
it's
never
equal.
did. Pickett got hurt and never even made it onto the team. The quarterback situation is better because Watson is better than the veterans we had last year if he plays well. And if he doesn't, he'll get started over by Sanders, who will be better this year's version than he was last year's version. And even Gabriel should be better this year than last year. So the quarterback position is better. The wide receiver position is better. Jerry Jeudy just got surrounded by a ton of extra talent, so that makes everything better around
It
him.
does
Isaiah
help.
Bond has apparently taken massive leaps. He didn't even play training camp last year. The line has work to do to mesh, but last year's line was completely injured and they were also a mess. The line will be better. The running back will be better as long as Judkins is healthy throughout this year. The only position on the entire offense that didn't get better is tight end, and that's the position where we feel one of the most comfortable players on the team with Harold Fannin. So they didn't get better, but like that might have been the one room that didn't need to get that much better. So like this offense should be leaps and bounds better than last year. And we have a head coach who I don't think is a better offensive mind than Kevin Stefanski, but we have a roster that fits him better than this roster fit Kevin Stefanski. So he'll be better able to coach the quarterbacks and the receivers that we go with than I think Kevin would have. So,
I
like,
want to. I want
Go
to hit
ahead,
up a
Mike.
comment really, really quick. First and foremost, thank you everybody for commenting tonight. You guys have been blowing up the chat with some great stuff. Be sure to subscribe. That helps us out. We appreciate you guys. But Leanne's been on fire tonight, and she just said it would just be nice to speak about our team as if they could compete.
oh, I think they can compete. I just think that they are young and they would need, with all the young pieces on this team, on both offense and defense, you would need like elite quarterback play to win with that many new people. And I don't think we have it. What we're hoping for is good, elevating quarterback play. And then I think you will be very competitive. If Shedeur Sanders is even Baker Mayfield, you will win a lot of games. And Baker Mayfield's sort of that spot of like, if you have any worse than him, you should be looking to replace a guy. And if you have like better than him, you're set. So he's kind of my guy that I just used that example. I used to use Kirk Cousins years ago, but he got old. But like Baker Mayfield's that guy where it's like teams don't really want to give him a $50 million contract if they can avoid it, but he's definitely good enough to be your franchise quarterback. So if you have Baker or better, you're probably good. If you're Baker or worse, you're probably not. But if they just have that exact middle level, I think they're going to be very competitive.
Yeah, I
Well,
did,
we got Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb coming back, so we're good.
at least Nick Chubb. You can trade for Baker if you want. He's looking for a new
Baker
contract.
2027. Yeah, Baker 2027.
Yeah.
But
No,
it's the same thing. Like if he was a little bit better, if he was just a notch better, they wouldn't be dragging their feet on the contract. They would have signed him.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to be better this year. I'm not negative. I know it sounds like I've been negative all show. I just have some worries about a quarterback that I'm hoping can blossom here, that I can buy his 2 jersey and wear a watch and put my wrist up for the next 10 years. But I just have some worries. That's all. So the question is, there's a question that popped up by Jerry Judy being traded. I would pause on that. We're going to try to get into that right now. Actually, Barry, where is he at right now? High or low? Right now he's a high, right? You guys think he's good? Everyone likes Barry.
Right. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
I think he's great. He won us the number one offseason for the second year in a row from whatever that random website was that rates NFL offseason.
Yeah, I
And I
saw
think he's
that.
good. The only reason I question if everybody thinks he's good is because why are so many people so concerned about who the Browns might pick at quarterback or what decisions they make on trading or whatever? I feel like there's this weird thing with Barry where they're like, man, he nailed last year's offseason. Man, he nailed this year's draft and free agents. And then we trade Garrett and people are like, idiot. And you're like, well, wait,
That's
do we
something that
do we trust him or not? Like, did he do good or I just think he gets constantly called out for doing something bad, and then months later, like pretty much everything outside of the quarterback situation with Watson, everybody months later is like, oh, turns out that was the right decision.
Yeah.
But then why every time don't we give him the benefit? Like, when will we give him the benefit of the doubt as a franchise and as a fan base when we're constantly coming back and going like, oh yeah, he got that one right.
you just don't mind the Miles trade because he's closer to you now.
Yeah, I do like him on my Rams.
He is happy, man. He's smiling on social media. He's posting
He
pictures.
doesn't
of the
have to be
Rams
a
helmet.
leader. He's literally he feels comfortable enough to go out in public and be like, they don't even want me to be a leader. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I'm good.
who says that unless you're like just totally content with your life right now?
Yeah, I mean,
He lives next to
he's
his
living the
lady. He
life.
lives next to the wifey.
Yeah, he's happy wife, happy life. He's out there in
Yeah.
LA enjoying the
Hey,
sun.
hey, great for him.
Great for you, man. I pray that you win a Super Bowl.
I pray that somehow they either win the Super Bowl or completely plummet and fall apart and give the Browns a better pick. But it's got to be one or the other. Don't give me this playoff loss crap.
Trade him to the Bengals year 3. That way we get a first round pick out of it.
Yeah, Don Flowers, I agree. He said that he knew that trade was coming since March. I felt like me and you were echoing
you were calling
that.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Browns Browns also, back-to-back winners kind of coincide with us being back-to-back winners of that Cleveland Scene magazine. Look at that. Back-to-back, baby. Parallel. When they win, we win. Or when we win, they win. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
All right,
We're great at winning the non-important stuff.
Yeah, they just need to win the award in season. That's the one that matters.
Mm-hmm.
All right, real quick, guys. We're going to go do training camp questions. Remaining early predictions. All right, we're going to go. I don't know how fast we can go through this, but we're going to go through the offensive line start. It's just early prediction. It doesn't matter if you're right. Some people will write it down to prove that we were wrong if they want to in the chat. That's fine. Offensive line starters. Who do you think is going to start? I'll go first.
I think they're going to. Okay, go ahead.
Left tackle, Spencer Fano. Left guard, Zion Johnson. Center, I think I'm going to surprise some of you guys. I think the rookie's going to start, Parker. Right guard, Elton Jenkins. And then right tackle, Titus Howard. Because I know he's going to start because Titus Howard literally said, I'm going to play at right tackle.
Yeah.
I
disagree because our disagreement would be I don't think the rookie will end up starting at center to start the season. I think it's going to be Elton Jenkins. It just seems so early for a center, especially if Sanders ends up winning the quarterback job, because then you've got 2 rookies making all the calls on the defense. But I mean, it's not like he's got Joel Bitonio next to him anymore. I see it more like Elton Jenkins starts, and what they hope is somewhere during the season they can get Brailsford in there at center and move Jenkins out. And I think that is the better end result because that's the better line for my money.
Everybody is very, very high on Parker's Brailsford.
Yeah. Big
I'm
test
high on
part
him
of the center.
I think he's going to
Almost no
surprise
center
some
start.
people. I think he's going to surprise.
I'm not worried about his size. I just think it's hard to start as a rookie at center. It's a really complex position. You have to call out all of the line calls for your team. That's a lot early. So we'll see. It'd be great if he does. Then you're feeling awesome because that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, can you imagine?
That would be the equivalent of what we saw last year at linebacker, where you end up with the with the orange dot and immediately
sweat
the
syndrome.
captain.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, it's really hard to become like the leader of the team and a team captain at linebacker as a rookie. And then we saw it last year, and you're like, oh, then something's like special. So if Brailsford is special and they got him that late, okay.
Oh, Don Flowers is in my notes. He posted up the same exact thing I did. That's crazy.
Mhm.
How
I
about you,
hope.
Mike?
I hope.
I agree with you completely. I don't see
Yes.
why you're not going to have a rookie at center if he is good at what he does. Like you did say, I do agree with Chad. You're going to have two rookies. If Shedeur Sanders starts, you're going to have two rookies mainly starting to play, which has me kind of skeptical. But I think if they mesh well at camp and get things together and flowing well, it'll work.
I've heard good things about Dwan Jones too. So I have him as like my dark horse.
You guys hear how light he is? He's
Yeah,
apparently
I've
not even the
heard-
biggest lineman. He went from
Yeah.
being the biggest tackle in the NFL after what's his name that played for the Jets for a while to being now he's not even
Back
now
to
he's not even the biggest lineman on his team.
Yeah.
Were
Yeah.
you
I
talking
heard,
about DeJuan Jones at center?
no. You
No,
can't.
he was talking
alright.
about
Either
Fano.
guard.
He
I
said
would do guard. You might
Kenny
know.
wants to see Fano at center, and I said it's just not year one.
Yeah.
He'd have to fail at tackle first. They really
And
want to
Start
show
moving
that he
from
did
right
tackle.
tackle to left tackle.
Yeah, you're gonna have to move him tackles before.
I think
you
part of
move
the
him
reason they
center.
took him, they believe in him as tackle, but part of the reason
Yeah.
they took him is because they're like, he can't fail. He'll just move.
Yeah.
At worst, he'll be right tackle or a guard or a set. Like he could play every position. So he
Our
was
next
like a no
one-
fail draft pick.
Next one will be heavily debated. The wide receiver room. I this is what I have so far. I got Jerry Jeudy. I'm going to put. This is going to be so difficult for me, not because I don't want to, is because it means that this team is going to be very young. But wide receiver 2 would be Denzel Boston, and in the slot, I'm going to put Bond instead of Casey Concepcion. And
Wow. We have
yeah.
totally different lineups.
yeah, that's me right there.
So I've
was
got
that?
Judy, Tillman, and Concepcion as my 3.
I'm hearing Denzel Boston is not. He dropped one pass, and he's looking.
He does.
Crisp.
He looks great. And you hear nothing
Crisp.
about Tillman. I'm
Yeah.
just so curious. I'm just taking that's my I would call like a very bold prediction is I think it will be Judy
can see
and then either Bond or Tillman
Okay.
and then Concepcion in the slot is what I think how I think it will play out. But I think Boston has a monster future here, and I actually hope you're right again because if he beats out Tillman, whose only real problem has been health, and he's healthy and he still beats him out. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'll go with Judy, obviously, wide receiver 1. Isaiah Bond. You're gonna
Great camp.
He is having a good campaign. He put on like 15 pounds of muscle.
yeah.
He got big, I heard. And he was cut, but he was a smallish receiver. I heard he got
He's
big.
running
and it
routes,
slowed
too.
down
That's
at
even
all.
better.
Yeah. I heard
I'm
he got
gonna
big and it didn't slow down at all.
I'm gonna go Denzel Boston, man. You have to have this guy
Yeah.
there.
I just for some reason when I made this up, I tried to justify not putting Denzel Boston on there.
Yeah.
But and that
I think he's
Stam's
going to be
guy.
starting this year. I'm just wondering if he'll start this season. We'll see.
Yeah.
I hope he does. Again, I hope these young guys.
I mean,
are
they
good.
can
I
trick people and they can move Judy in the slot. He's played the slot here the last 2 years, 38% of the time. So
Yeah.
Judy can't play.
They're going to move
slot.
him around.
Yeah.
That's why I put like this is a rotation and it will keep changing. But I'm just curious. The first time they run out 3 receiver set, I'm wondering who it'll be.
That
and
would
I'll
be.
bet. I bet it would be.
How about you do this? You do Tillman, Bond, and then Judy in the slot. 3 big receivers.
You could in the red zone.
Yeah, that
That'd
would
be a great
insane.
line in the red zone.
That
Insane.
seems to be what Tillman thrives at in the red zone. I mean, when we're there.
I
But
mean, you
I
could get
believe we should get there.
Tillman and Judy out there at the same time, like on the 10-yard line or the 5-yard line. Like that's dangerous, and it's the reason that people are like so down on Tillman. And I'm like, Tillman has not lived up to expectations for a 3rd-round pick, but when healthy, he's
Man,
had some really great stretches.
he did.
He's the type of guy that I see you re-signing because you're like, well, we don't have to draft guys now. We've got a ton of young talent, and you can re-sign him kind of on the cheap, and now he's becomes your guy behind Boston. And I think that is a very realistic future is you've got Boston and Tillman as your two big receivers, Judy and Concepcion as your two like more versatile receivers, and you've got Bond as like your field stretcher,
Yeah.
for lack of better term. That is a pretty dangerous collection of guys that you can mix all over the place.
Yeah,
And that
and
still leaves
same.
like one or two potential guys behind them that can make this team.
And you
wanna hit
still got McCorley, and McCorley had pretty good. He did some couple of good jet sweeps. Mike's favorite play last year.
Luke Floria, you got Larvadane.
Yeah,
you
I don't
got-
know if those guys are going to make it this year. I think the
You
receiver.
got your boy Thrash. Thrash is the
Thrash.
guy who's going to be on the bubble.
He's about to thrash this offense. Watch this.
Yeah.
KP Young says, add Fannin Jr. And Joe Royer to this big group in the red zone.
Yes.
You're going to see a lot of those
Look
2 and
into
3
tight
tight ends.
ends.
Sam's, I know, psyched about that as well. I think Gary is too. But those 2 and 3 tight end sets, man, with a wide receiver left like
Yeah,
Judy.
they've got big guys now, and they've got, like I said, they've got guys who can get around. Like they've got guys you can give the ball to, and they can make something happen. Like Judy, Concepcion, that's his specialty. Malachi Corley, Isaiah Bond can stretch the field, but to have the other end of that where you've got just some big guys and
Yeah.
multiple. So if one goes down, you're not like when Tillman would go down, it's like there is zero size left on this team. He was the only big receiver. When he would break his ankle or whatever kept happening, sprain his ankles, hurt his back. He was out, and there was just zero size. There was nothing left. It was like people wanted David Njoku to step in as the big receiver, and it's like that's not
It's not going to
not
happen.
gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not gonna
Now that you've got bigger guys, where like Judy's your third biggest guy, fourth biggest guy, like that's pretty nice.
George
Yeah,
Valerie
go ahead.
says, I'm sorry, can these guys catch slants? I don't know if you guys.
Judy can.
Well, Judy
Judy can't catch slants. Yeah, he can.
So can
Because
Concepcion. Judy and Concepcion should be able to grab a slant
ball
and
in the
roll.
middle of the field.
yeah,
He's-
hopefully. I do think that the tight end room, Mike, you hit the tight end. I think the person we're also forgetting is Jack Stoll. He's a tall guy, big guy, tight end
Big
that
boy.
you can line up in the red zone too. Can you imagine? That would be too many big guys. Who are you going to get?
He's
And
like
then
20 years
your
old.
quarterback sneak it.
28 or 29.
Yeah,
Jack
he's,
Stoll.
he's gonna on to the next. We're doing a nickel corner next. Anybody? That's a concern for me still.
I
a
have
little
no
bit.
idea. Yeah, this is the one position where I'm like, I don't even know who's going to step in and play that spot. I'm not sure who is going to get that spot for the Browns.
Yeah, you got Miles Bryant, Miles Harden, even Coach Jr., the undrafted free agent they got from West Virginia, is making noise. It's going to have to be Harden because I would assume they want him because they just gave him that tender. But we'll see how that works out for them. I say Harden then.
Okay.
I do like Coates though. Even James Frank, me and James Frank, we like Coates. I would keep an eye on him. It's one of those things that Barry knows how to get a good corner for and not too expensive. He got him undrafted free agent. He's going to be very good. He's a big
This
guy.
is one of those situations where like Miles Harden was so bad last year, and Campbell and Denzel are so good. You're set that you're like, is somebody else going to step up? And again, we talked about this earlier. There's going to be a lot more packages where they play three safeties, and then we know who those three are. But there's got to be spots where you need speed, and you're going to play three corners. And just like Miles Harden ranked 106th last year out of 112. It's awful.
KP
Doesn't
Young.
mean he can't get better,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
like you need better than that if you're going to have three corners out there.
I cannot wait to see the kid from Toledo, man. Oh, McNeil Warren, dude. That dude is. You're going to see more turnovers this year, I believe. You're going to see more picks from that kid. It's going to be.
Yeah, Rudenberg does create turnovers. His defense is designed for that. So that's going to be
that was a failure of our last defense, and we still play man to man a lot, and I think we're still supposed to this year. I almost hope a little less because I think you don't get as many turnovers when you're playing man and you have two good cover corners because they just avoid them. So
they knock the ball away instead of catching it.
Yeah.
They got a lot of pass deflected. Pass,
when you have a zone is when like the corner can like get his hands on the ball and the safety can be there to like be the one to actually grab it, something that's tipped up. When you're playing man, it's usually just on an island and you tip the ball and it's just gone.
Or
Yeah,
we
he
could
could
play
somewhere else.
prevent. Like the show was supposed to be 45 minutes, but something always prevents us from doing that.
It's the quarterback talk. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Lastly, big shout out to Mr. Bernie Kozar. It was really cool getting to meet him, and we're partnering with him with Kozar Wellness. Use the code TUSCAB10 at kozar.com and you'll get 10% off your orders. But he's got some good stuff here, some good holistic energy stuff. I'll be honest with you, I tried that the bedtime one. I forgot the name of it, Calm. And I'm not just saying this because maybe it's what do you call that? It's an effect where you think it worked, but it didn't. Dude, I was knocked
Placebo.
out, man. So yeah, I was out. I woke up late. I have not taken it because I woke up late for work because I get up pretty early like it is anyways. I was like, I have to wait till Friday night to take this again to see if it works again. But his stuff is all holistic. If you have pain, he's got stuff for pain. If you have anxiety, he's got calm stuff. He's got a couple other things. He's got alkaline water and some energy pills that if you're addicted to energy drinks like me, I probably have to get on those pills right now. That it can help your body get better and heal faster.
More focus.
Yeah, focus a lot more. So if you're up to like 10 cups of coffee, you might want to switch over to go to Kozar Wellness and use this code and save yourself 10% off. And you kind of let Bernie know that we are pretty cool guys and people are actually listening to us. So using that code helps. Sugar pills. What? What the heck, Kenny?
It's those San Francisco people.
Those California people, man. I'd say you gotta stay away from them. But thank you guys for tuning in and the comments. Mad love, bad people. You just saw it. That's all I was laughing at. Kenny, that was the comment of the day. Appreciate it. Can't
Well
say
done.
that on the air. We are a family show. But if you read it, I'm sure everyone's laughing. Thank you guys. Honestly, great show today. I know in the beginning it kind of was negative because it kind of had to be. We had to be honest with each other. You can't be lying. I can't lie. I'm gonna be honest with my feelings. But we ended it positive by telling you that our offense is going to be pretty good. We just need to make sure the quarterback is good.
If you guys need positivity, just look to Mike. He's the positive one.
Hey, you're down here, right?
He's the balance. He's the balance, guys. So for every time I'm like, we're gonna be bad, Mike's like, we could be kind of good. So
I've gotten better because me and Chad have gotten into some big arguments on the show. And
Mike, stop saying we're gonna be good. We're gonna stink. Okay.
Yes, we're a horrible year, guys. Horrible.
We'll be competitive. We'll be interesting. I just don't know if we'll be good in time, and that's not the worst thing when you're building. I felt worse. I've been like, we are spiraling and we're going nowhere. I feel like we're in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. The downside is you might have a lot more heartaches because of close losses, but I'll take that over losing in the second quarter. So
now, Kenny, send us a quarterback that we can plug in, or all the guys in the chat who love Shedeur, like, start rooting for him to win this competition so we can see some upside here. Let's go.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. Until next time, like always, go Browns.
Go Browns.